What's up, future Shredlords? Welcome back. Death to the Fingers. Who else got the memo last week that rap's dead? Oh, man. I was not expecting that at all. Just wake up one day, fire up the Twitters, start scrolling around, and they're like, yeah, no, Kendrick Lamar, a rapper. Okay. Their newest song dropped out of the top 30 or whatever it is, and that's the first time that there's been no rap music in the top 40 for like the last 35 years, 40 years, who knows. I was just like, damn. The wheels finally turned. Can't say that I'm sad to see it go because honestly, I really liked early rap music, mostly because, they were trying to innovate. They're trying to do something new. Now, they borrowed a lot from other more experienced artists, which sort of lessens the impact. How famous would these songs have been without, those massive hooks? I'm looking at you, Tone Loc, with Funky Cold Medina or whatever it is, and you basically scooped Jamie's Crying from Van Halen, that iconic role from Alex, and of course Eddie's fantastic brown sound action going on there. So, it's kind of relative because it's still a fun song, and you kind of get to enjoy both worlds, if you will. But of course, by the time the 2000s was rolling around, we were like in a real sort of commercial desert. And you could see that it really started, in my opinion, in the 80s. Like, metal was the test tube. You saw the brilliance of those early 80s metal bands like Great White, Rat, and I'm going to exclude the thrash stuff and the sort of like the more sort of heavy metal fare. I mean, the bands that would go on to become absolutely monstrous. Quiet Riot's first album is fantastic like that. And all that good stuff, you know what I mean? But then, of course, by the late 80s, you're getting Pretty Boy Floyd, which isn't a bad band, but it was like manufactured. I just watched a documentary sort of on them, and it was like a completely manufactured band. And then, of course, that was just replicated over and over and over again. Metal transitioned into, like this sort of alternative rock stuff. And then it started to get watered down successively more and more and more until you're into like bands that are, they have nothing. They use sort of kind of quasi distorted guitars occasionally once in the course or whatever else. But, you know what I mean? It just became a caricature of itself. And I think that also is what drove metal to sort of contort itself into grunge, which was, I don't know. I don't want to say it's bad, because if you listen to Alice in Chains' first album, Facelift, man, that's about as badass an album, whether you're into grunge or metal, as anything. Same thing with Bad Motorfinger with Soundgarden. First Pearl Jam's great. It's fantastic. It's a little bit more subdued, but it's still quite intelligent and a really juicy slab of music. There's some really great music on there, right? So that's what I mean. And of course, look at those bands. They basically started to morph. The only one that actually, two, I should say, that really kept it together, and honestly, the second one's debatable because they just kept going, which is Alice in Chains. But Soundgarden never really did that. Like, they dropped probably the most consequential album of the grunge era with Super Unknown, which just barely edges out Alice in Chains with Dirt. Dirt is awesome, but you have to be in the mood for that. Super Unknown is just awesome. Even though I can't stand the song Spoon Man, and I think that's just like anything else. It was just destroyed by radio. You know what I mean? They just killed it. But everything else is so damn good. And you could almost go Black Hole Sun is also another one. but it has its moments too. It's pretty great, and especially if you're like reminiscing and you're like, oh damn, check it out. Plus, Chris Cornell. I mean, wow, voice of the decade, man. Like just amazing. I'll never forget when I was in military school, just sitting there listening to Temple of the Dog with Hunger Strike and all the rest of that stuff, and it was just great times. It was really fun and exciting, you know what I mean? Like there's just so much new music and they're breaking down the walls really between the genres, but you see the success of watering down of these more pure genres, and that is most typified in rap because they went from a really high point in the 80s and the sort of first half of the 1990s, and then the money interest set in, of course, and then by like 2025, it's tattoo your face, turn your hair into like a rainbow, you know, basically excessively swear and act like a moron. Just be an immature dork, basically, with no real intelligence. You know, not even try to articulate words in English. I'm getting banned. And so, you know, you just kind of look at it and you're just like, bro, why? Just why? And now, of course, in the twilight of 2025, if you will, rap takes the final hit, and let's be real, this is the beginning of the decline. Within a year, by the end of 2026, rap will basically be like, they'll be writing articles, it'll be like, rap's dead. It's over. And then there'll be a massive pivot. I mean, I think the thing is that this might be calculated. I was thinking about it yesterday. I was like, you know, rap is pretty straightforward as a music form. You got make a beat. All right. Challenging, sure, to make a really good one that's going to resonate with people, that's at least original. I mean, considering there's that whole craze in the, you know, the 2010s with making beats and stuff and selling them on the internet. People still do that. I'm just like, all right, that's commitment to the cause, boys. But they got AI now, so it can just do what you're doing endlessly. It sort of seems pointless now that you can go to a site and be like, yeah, whip me up a drum beat. It's like, sure, here you go. It's similar to like this band, this, you know what I mean? This song. It's like, yeah, no problem. Here you go. Here's hybridization of it. You can't copyright a beat. Now, I just said the funky Cole Medina thing, but you could tell that's more than just a beat. That's a direct ripoff of a piece of music, right? That's that roll. It's kind of integral to the song, if you will. It'd be like trying to play the song Wipeout and then just taking all the tom work out. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work. It'd be like doing it on the snare only. Not the same effect, you know what I mean? So, no thanks. I watched a great documentary last night about the early stages of instrumental music with these bands. Like, I think they were called The Shadows or something. And it was just so interesting to me, man. And then they got into Link Ray and all this stuff, banned. An instrumental that was banned. I was like, what? Yes, that's true. I was like, I know that song. I didn't know who made it or anything else, you know, because it's before my time. But I was like, I know that song. I've heard that millions of times in the movies and stuff like that. They're like, yes, and this was banned on the radio because it was just too aggressive. I was like, what? That's crazy. Anyways, it was just so interesting to me, this evolution and whatnot. Imagine if those guys had seen where it started in the 60s to where it ended up in like the late 80s with Shrapnel Records and stuff like that. And then obviously evolving again in the 2000s to what I call the third wave of shred. I think we're into like the fourth wave of shred now, but you can't really take it seriously because 90% of this stuff is just, it's internet garbage. It's not even people playing real music. There was somebody putting a short up today that I saw. They're like, is this Japan's fastest guitar player? And I'm just like, oh my God. And of course, you listen to it, it's like this, it's clearly not them playing for real. But even the arpeggio sequence, I'm like, nobody plays that perfectly, man. Nobody. I've seen the best shredders in the world, and nobody plays that perfectly. So why would you try to make a video, perpetuating this? Are people so ignorant with respect to music now that you don't know the difference between a real performance and this computer bleeping and blooping shit? Really? You know what I mean? Like, anyways, I digress, of course. The rap thing basically hit the exact same wall. I guess I after saying that now, I'm just realizing there's like all of these things lead to this final outcome. This let's try to manufacture a band or capture lightning in a bottle, this vibe, whatever you want to call it, and then try to just profit from it until the wheels fall off. It happened with metal when you had bands like Pretty Boy Floyd come out. Totally manufactured, designed to basically be like a bunch of whatever attractive dudes, to get the girlies all sauced up and putting posters on the wall or whatever it is. It was a caricature of the stuff that was going on in the mid 80s, which was already bad. I will give Nelson a pass. Because go check out their lead guitar player, Brett Garsed. Holy shit. Oh, man. So if he's prepared to play with them, you get a pass on my front, because he's an absolutely amazing musician and one of the best guitar players on the face of the earth. And their music is pretty good. After the Rain isn't a killer song. So, in my opinion only. But there it is. So, you know what I mean? Like this whole process, you could see it happen with alternative rock. It starts off with like grunge and stuff like that, but then starts getting watered down to you're like into these I can't even name these bands. They're so faceless at this point, you know what I mean, that you would hear on your commercial radio stations all the time. Like I can't even remember. The Breakfast at Tiffany's is one, or Closing Time. I think they were called Semisonic. I remember that one. This type of situation, that was the sort of watered down version of the greats. And that's just it. Like real music that challenges you, music that forces you to digest it. It's not surface level. It penetrates things like Super Unknown, where you're just like, that kind of music because you'll be doing something, typing away furiously on the computer or playing a game or doing whatever it is, and you'll stop and just look at the radio or whatever, or lean back and just be like, take it in for a minute. You know what I mean? And just appreciate the awesomeness of the music and be like, this is killer. That's real music. But this other stuff, you're just like, yeah, and helps me get through the day. And it's pretty funny. I was at the grocery store this morning, and they're like sort of playing a lot of the 80s music again. That's what's on. I guess they tried to do the 2000s sort of Muzak crap, and nobody was having it. They're like, we don't want to listen to this. So all of a sudden it just switched back to like all the classic 80s stuff. And I found myself kind of like moving around the grocery store, having a good time. I can't remember what the song was, but it was great. Now 40 years ago, the shame, I would have been like mortified to hear myself saying this stuff, but actually having experienced the amount of garbage music that I have over the past 35 years, I'm realizing the quiet brilliance of the pop music of the 80s. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but if you were stuck on a desert island, you could pick like 100 CDs from one particular decade of a particular type of music that you weren't overly crazy about. So if they're like, okay, metalhead, here you go, you can pick some pop music. Pick 100 CDs. Which year do you want? Or what decade? I'd probably go from like 75 to 85 and I'd be like, okay, we're good. We're good. Right? Rather than 1995 to 2005, which is like a total wasteland of commercial garbage. So obviously rap's going to hit this, and you could see that. Obviously it really peaked in like 2015 with this WAP. And that's just it. If anybody was paying attention, and I'm sure they weren't because they don't care, but the music itself was secondary. It was background noise for a video. And then the videos themselves became expensive advertising vehicles. You know what I mean? Like it was now about, oh, I have to have this purse or bag, and you have to have this Bentley, and you have to have a mansion with a pool and all the rest of it. And I'm just like, it's so contrived. It's so silly at this point. I mean, why would anybody take that seriously? Because it's sad. It's a caricature, and it just ruins the music, honestly, because it tries to turn this already sort of questionable music into something even more abhorrent, which is like some sort of sales vehicle for marketing products. You know, like how they hide Coca-Cola and Pepsi and products in a movie and stuff like that. It's just, I remember there was that one band, the New Radicals or something like that. I only remember because they got into a big beef with a bunch of metal bands. They had a really famous and popular song or whatever it is. But the only thing I actually remember about the band itself was that there was a huge controversy. They tried to wear a Disney shirt with Mickey Mouse on it, and they were not having it. They're like, nah, you can't do that. I'm just like, you can't even wear a T-shirt anymore and make a music video if it has Mickey Mouse on it. So they had to flip the shirt inside out, and you could still see the kind of rough outline and stuff like that. But I was like, yeah, that's kind of ballsy, actually. You know what I mean? Oh, I can't wear it? Okay, we'll just flip it inside out. There it is. Done. See ya. I was like, all right, you get 1 point in your sort of badass column. The music's pretty good, too. That one particular song, but of course, the typical one-hit wonder type situation. They just disappeared into the ether afterwards and were never spoken of again. Such is life. But you're seeing that now with rap, and I can't say I'm sorry to see it go either. I'm just like, you've kind of hit the wall, realistically speaking. You can't really do anything more. You don't really have anything more to say, right? The music is not innovating at all anymore. It's getting worse, and that sort of is really all I need to say about that, because what you should be seeing is this massive opportunity. And if you were listening to me from like a year ago and you were actually working towards some of the stuff that I was saying about getting your recording chops up and starting to learn how to write your own music and whatnot and working on those skills, then you'll be primed, because I'm telling you right now, the death of rap doesn't mean music's finished. It means it presents itself an opportunity for you to capitalize, because there's only so much it's doing. And listen, I don't see these manufactured bands, like these AI bands that are being pumped up on Spotify and stuff like that. They're not doing dance music. They're doing like classic rock stuff. Now, why would you know what I mean? Why would you do that? The pendulum consistently swings. They try to stop it by reducing the temperature, which makes it real hard. And they did that for about 30 plus years. Why it took so long to swing back in the other direction for the sort of more traditional forms of music to sort of catch up and whatnot. But of course they are. And here's the thing. I wonder if it wasn't done on purpose to sort of make sure that the older, more legacy bands like Metallica and Megadeth and all the rest of that stuff basically are shoved out the door, and so that they have a fresh crop of people that they can exploit that isn't the multi-bazillionaire rock stars that already have a ton of experience dealing with the industry. Yeah. My ginger ale, I buy these little cans now because I'm not supposed to be drinking pop at all, but every once in a while. So now I get the can that's only 80 calories and drink all six. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, you know what I mean? So obviously the standard music stuff is coming back. And the other thing is I'm seeing a major turn away from sort of like technicality and whatnot. People are kind of starting to be like, I don't care how fast you can play anymore. Mostly because of the silliness from Instagram and these guitar players and this fake shred and all that. The well has been poisoned now to a certain degree because people are like, well, I don't know if this is real or not. And I'm like, you can tell when it's real, man. Trust me, you can tell when it's real. But I get it. People are so inexperienced with this stuff now because it's just, to us, it's alien. But to them, it's like a new thing because they've never really sort of delved into it. I didn't realize how cloistered people were with respect to their music tastes and stuff like that because I'm all over the map. I listen to classical music all the way up to grindcore and everything in between. There's nothing that's off limits. I even do some country. Older country, which is pretty great. I was playing some Dwight Yoakam. What was it? 1,000 Miles from Nowhere. Like about earlier in the year before I suffered my injury, which is almost done. This is the last month. I'm going to start practicing up next month, which is pretty exciting. Got a whole new video series planned called Road to Recovery, where I'm just going to go through a whole bunch of practice exercises with you guys real time. So that should be fun. But yeah, bottom line is that people are just kind of tapped out from the whole shred idiom. And so they're just looking for real music that's kind of a cross between, you know, your Soundgardens and Alice in Chains kind of stuff, where it's really deep, gritty, dark music, which of course fits the times. You ever notice that? It's pretty hard to party to rap music and be worried about Punani and all the rest of that stuff when basically the world's going to hell in a handbasket. And man, is things ever heating up. Wow. It's an exciting time to be alive. It's annoying as shit too, but honestly, it's pretty exciting too. So it is what it is, but now people are they're off. So the point being is did you really take the time to develop the skill set to capitalize on this massive opportunity? Because they need bands. Most people are like, I quit music. Now, listen, I tried to quit music. It did not work. So, you know, I'm never going to be able to stop playing music. It'll always be a part of me. There's nothing that can remove that now. But having said that, you have to, you know, a lot of people were like, I don't want to do this anymore. There's no financial return on investment, which was mainly their main driving factor. They're like, this is a way to get famous and rich and all the rest of that. And I have skill too, but they skewed their expectation in the wrong direction. And obviously that hurt them. And then they quit. And once you do that and you kind of transition into something else, it's near impossible to go back. Once you quit music, it's like anything else. It's very difficult to go back because once you start to pick it up again or try, you're like, I can't do this. Done. So, you know what I mean? Hopefully you took some of that advice to heart because there's going to be a massive opportunity for the people that are prepared to do that. And it's going to go on for basically from about 2030 to, again, about 2040. That's a 10-year sort of stretch, which is that's a long, long time, man. And it takes one song can change your life. And it's totally doable. I can't tell you how many times I've watched documentaries about bands that are just like, we were just kind of doing it for a lark. And then all of a sudden, we're the biggest band in the world. I was just like, damn, I guess, right? So you never know. And I'm not saying that that should be the goal, but at the same time, you know, knowing that that could potentially happen definitely sort of should keep your interest factor going because I'm like, you're going to do it anyways. So if all of a sudden there is the potential that if you get good enough at it, it could actually pay some dividends, well, you know, win-win. So hopefully you're going to take this advice and sort of read the tea leaves, if you will, if rap is dying. And obviously, you don't have to worry too much about country music, because country music is almost indecipherable from the standard pop formula. I mean, Post Malone does country now. So take that as you will. But yeah. Now the world's getting angry. And when the world gets angry, like it is right now, metal's king. And if you sort of played your cards right and you listen to the right bands and you were influenced in the right ways, and you can basically sort of take those numerous influences and collate them into one central sort of creative output that is distinctly you, you'll do very well for yourself, incredibly well. And you'll get snapped up almost instantaneously if that's what you want with a record company. I wouldn't recommend it, okay? If you want to work a distribution deal, that's fine. But remember, these people don't care about you at all. It's like marriage and divorce. Getting married, it sounds like a great idea until you get to the divorce part. And then it's not so good. So, you know what I mean? People change. Circumstances change. Money changes people. I watched an absolutely horrifying sort of expose about what happened to Bon Jovi, specifically John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora. And man, I'm just like, wow. That's kind of sad. I was never a huge Bon Jovi fan, but there's no denying the power of their music. And they're one of those rock bands that basically have ascended to godhood. You know what I mean? Like, they're one of the few that have multiple tunes that are in the billions of streams, right? That's pretty damn good for a power metal band. Rat can't say that, which is, in my opinion, far better. But they can't hold a candle to what Bon Jovi is doing in terms of numbers. So, you know, tip of the hat where it's deserved. But you know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. You got to see the opportunity coming in advance. Sort of prepare yourself by arming yourself with the tools necessary to capitalize. And now all of a sudden you should be realizing that that's happening. Post Malone has abandoned pop music. That was 2 years ago. Now all of a sudden there's no rap songs in the top 40. What does that tell you? That this dominant form of music that's been basically king for the last 30 plus years is finally run out of gas. And so, of course, other people are going to turn to something. And if you just look at the general vibe of society, especially in North America, people are angry. And when people are angry, the music that basically best encapsulates that raw emotion is aggressive metal and extreme music and stuff like that. So we're going to see a revival for sure. And it's going to be a good time. And those people that put their head down and invested the work and all the rest of that stuff will profit. And those people that didn't, well, you'll be sitting on the sidelines. It is what it is. But as far as rap's concerned, sayonara, kid. It's been a nice time, but fuck off. See you in the next one.